He's up late to give you the news you can't get anywhere else early. He fights for truth and justice and the American way. Please welcome our pal from the Paragon Trust Company, the real Tony D. Tony D'Angelo.
All right, it's always exciting, fun, and actually, it's a learning experience, I think, not only for me, for everyone else out there. But when we bring on the great Tony D'Angelo. Tony, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Elci. Good morning, everyone, and proud to be among you.
All
yes,
right.
it is.
I think we're going to start with start with homeowners today. Is that where we're starting?
And interesting. I've maintained for years that whatever happens in California is coming here, and that's become a lot more evident. I think it was Thursday. I was listening to a video or watching a video. Larry Elder, who's familiar, to just about everyone here, ran for governor of California, Salem commentator, really, really bright, astute guy. He was chastising Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, Nathan Hochman, anybody in California, as far as what the sanctuary policies were doing to the state. And basically, he said, if you are a homeowner in California, if you own anything, if you own a car, but let's just deal with homes for a moment, that you are now in danger of seeing your premiums skyrocket. And the reason why is because regardless of what the politicians tell you, regardless of what you read in the newspapers, I like to call them the state-run newspapers, regardless of what they're feeding you, there are people in insurance companies that are called actuaries. Most people have heard of that term, or you say actuarial, and their job is to assess risk. So what are they doing? They're looking at California. They're seeing riots. They're seeing people running in the streets. They're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're thinking, well, how much damage will we sustain? Now, the other thing was, if you go back to the wildfires, that State Farm knew about the vegetation. They knew two things. They knew about the vegetation policy. They knew about the fact that the vegetation was not going to be cut. One little spark, boom, bang, it's all over. And sadly, it was. They also, these people aren't stupid. They're not politicians. And they looked at it and said, well, what about that, woke fire chief? What about, where's the leadership here? And what about what you'd mentioned it yesterday with Dr. John Lott about the commercial saying, well, if somebody's caught in a fire, they're in the wrong place. And they said, we're not going to take our capital and put it at risk. So what happens? It's supply and demand, economics. Again, a concept foreign to most politicians. When you have fewer suppliers and when you have a greater demand, the rates on things go up, and pretty much it starts to become, because there's not a lot of places you can go. And Larry Elder was saying, if you're a homeowner in California, pretty soon you're going to have to make a decision. And the decision you're going to make, and this is really because they're starting to look at this now across the sanctuary states. Oh, yes, we are one. Do not listen to our governor, Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable. Do not listen to Bill Tong. When the insurance companies looked at this, they said, Minnesota, New York, California, sanctuary states, and this is how we're going to start rating you. Insurance premiums are going to go through the roof. Now, one story here from the trenches. I went out, I think it was on Saturday. I've got my homeowner's insurance bill, and I've had the same insurer for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years. And this is not a Cadillac style insurance. It's a ham and egg New England insurance company. And one of these companies you kind of look at and say, well, hey, if there's a disaster, are we all going to get paid off? It's not Chubb or somebody like that. Well, Elci, my premiums went up 30%. Now, here I am. I'm not in a city as such, but the actuaries look at this and they say, hey, wait a minute. Here's a guy in this small state who's within an hour of some very bad places. And it's not like I live in the land of Oz. Crazy things go on here at another thing. And it's like, well, the risks start to go up. So what we're seeing now is that with the sanctuary policies, with the lack of governance, with the thing of, oh yeah, multi-unit housing, right? HB 5002. Our economic geniuses in Connecticut, Bob Duff, Martin Looney, senators saying, well, this is what we have to do to grow the economy. Do any of these lunatics, and that's exactly what they are, start to think about, well, if you have all the building, you have this flourish of economic activity, who goes into the buildings, where are they going to work, and what about, the risks as far as you're putting density in an area. And when you put density in an area, you have more people. When you have more people, sorry, it's the way it is. A lot more can go wrong. And, it's now going to come to a point, and it's starting to come to a point now in other places where somebody owning a home is going to say, well, do I live in this home uninsured? Or do I leave the home? And this is what whatever you want to call it, the risks start to get in a place of where it's starting to become real, regardless of what they're telling you. It's going to hit your wallet, and and this is I'll just leave you with this one thought, not to leave, but politicians do not understand risk. They have no clue of what risk is. The business person understands risk every single day. The politician copes by risk by raising taxes. And it's like simple as that and just as difficult. And now we're in this world of hurt. And I don't know. I don't know where the leadership is going to come from in government to say, hey, this is a problem. We're now cutting into the veins of how this system has worked reasonably well, not perfectly, for years. Your ball, my friend.
So we're talking to Tony D'Angelo, Tony D'Angelo 7 on the X. It's always a pleasure to talk with him each and every Tuesday morning here at 7:05. He brings up some points that resonate with me. So, we had to re-up our insurance, if you will, and I had to make sure I paid that by June 1st. So I was talking with my guy, Tony, and my premiums went up about, I don't know, maybe 8%. And I was a little bit annoyed by that. And I was coming close to the actual date. Like I had to get it in by June 1st, and it was towards the end of May. And he calls me up. He says, you got to get this in. I'm like, well, maybe I can shop around. It went up 8%. He goes, everybody else's went up at least 25%. You are lucky. He says, you are incredibly lucky. For some reason, you fell under what the normal amount of the increase has been. So I feel you, man. I know people out there. Actually, I talked to a friend of mine who is 35-40% increase in insurance. I mean, if you're paying like $2,000 for insurance for your house, now you're paying $3,000, $3,500 for insurance. They are going to make everybody go broke, Tony.
Well, it certainly seems like that, and this is going to be coupled with property taxes, and I just love the way they look at it and say, well, this is a good thing. We need it, not understanding the consequences of where this thing is going to come down. And I mean, it's that kind of a world, and it's really very, very sad. But I think what you're going to see now, if I could try to be a little bit of a prophet, which maybe is not one of my strongest skills, and then again, I'm a lot more shall I say, a lot more accurate than I might give myself credit for. We have this world now where it's what I've been saying for years. It's an assault on the homeowner. The one big beautiful bill is starting its shall we say, the ping pong match in Congress. The Senate's back to the House. The House is back to the Senate. What I keep telling people, and you have a lot of people on Twitter, where you can find me, and you can find both good and bad with a lot of other things, is don't start to pay attention until this thing gets into the conference committee, because that's when they start really hashing what's there. You have people coming out and saying, yeah, well, the House bill says this. Well, most House bills are wish lists, and you're not going to see that in the final analysis. That all said, what you will see, Elci, and mark my words, is when the one big beautiful bill becomes law, whatever the enactment is, it might be called something different. It might be called the Tax Reform Act of 2025. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter what it's called. I'll tell you this much. If we don't get it, everybody's taxes are going to be, increased 25, 30% because of the fact that 2017 cuts phase out. So when all that happens, you're going to get all the sanctuary governors, Lamont, Walz, Newsom, Hochul, right down the line, Pritzker, saying we have to declare a state of emergency because our states are in trouble. We're not getting the aid that we're getting, and we're either going to have to raise taxes, limit things. They're going to start to do some really crazy things. Now, of course, what they've done here, and like a simple thing like insurance, they've made private property ownership that much more worse. But this whole thing is, well, we have to do this because of Trump is evil, Trump is evil, Trump is evil. And we're going to they're going to try to get away with whatever they can. And their whole game, it is that game which has been, a communist game for years. The book of Saul Alinsky. Lie, deny, and just keep causing resistance to come. And that's going to be global. And what happens at that point, I don't know. But it's not going to be this thing of, oh, we're going to save the cities. Oh, we're going to do what can we do to make things worse? Because if you've been saying for years, this unsustainable debt that we're going to have to do something with, and where that all happens and how that all shakes out, I don't know. But man, oh man, it's coming, and this is part of what's there. So if you go to your politician and say my taxes are up, they're going to say Donald Trump. Very constructive.
Mm. Tony,
that's where we're at.
I'm thinking as I'm sitting here listening to you spell out so eloquently what what we can look for in the future. I'm thinking to myself, well, is there going to come a point in time where the average everyday American hardworking man and woman and the family are going to say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not gonna. I'll move out of my house or I'll sell my house. I won't pay the property taxes. I'll downsize significantly. Why am I going to suffer and toil with 40, 50, 60-hour work weeks? And essentially my taxes are robbing me of 60, 70% of what I make by the time it's all said and done. I'll just go minimalist. I just feel like there's going to come a point in time where it's the work that you put in is not going to pay off as far as what you're getting out of it if they're going to keep raising the taxes to the point of no return. That makes sense? I don't think it does.
Well, oh, absolutely. What I don't understand is when you have when politicians try to think economics and they think, well, this is going to be good. This is like our housing bill, for example, in this state. And it's okay, guys, but where is the money going to come from? And I've said for years, Connecticut is one of the states. I mean, the others, many places, maybe are not better, a little worse. Probably the most small business unfriendly state in the union. And I mean, please don't tell me differently. I've been in business in Connecticut for, going on my fourth decade. That all said, if you kill the economic drivers, if you don't make it so that people will want to do something, to want to build something, and that by definition will cause a tax, will cause a revenue to come. If I buy something, it's a sales tax. If I buy a piece of equipment, somebody else gets that money. He pays the tax on it. I mean, we need taxes. We do need taxes in the government, but we don't need the government to become an enterprise unto itself. That all said, if you make it to where that money doesn't, you can't print it, or maybe you can print it and you become Venezuela. I mean, when does the light go on? Because if it doesn't, Elci, it's going to be exactly what you're saying. It's going to be people saying, why do I need this? Why, I can't raise my price 30%, but my insurance company can. And my insurance company's raising the price because of the fact of, I live in a sanctuary state. I work in a sanctuary state. I don't care what the government says. I don't care what the state-run media is telling me. This is the way it is, because they're looking at situations that actually exist as opposed to the rosy world politicians want you to believe it is. And that's absolutely true.
And you think about we had all these protests on Saturday against ICE because they want to champion illegal immigration and people who have been here illegally for maybe in some cases for decades, or even people who've just been here for a short period of time. But you go state by state and you look at the amount of money that it's cost each state to house, to feed, to care for, to send to school illegals. This is just one thing out of a budget state by state. And I'm thinking to myself, I work, and part of my paycheck goes to policies that I completely disagree with, and in this case, policies that actually enable folks to do illegal activity. It's shocking to me, and there's going to come a point in time I think Americans are going to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Nope.
Well, you raise an important point, which is, and one, which I had not intended to cover, not being an expert in it, is health insurance. It's the same. It's the same pool. It's the same type of thing. You pay a premium. You pay a premium for what's there. The insurance company, whomever they are, would like to make a profit. We can talk about if the profits are excessive and how all that works. In some cases they are, but with that all being as it is, their cost of delivery to that service is greater because they're paying more down the line for all the people who are not paying. So guess what? Where do they look? They look to you. They look to me. And it's really starting to become. I mean, if you have a bomb here, what I think is happening here with home insurance, and I haven't even talked about car insurance, right? And what goes on there, and you get on the highway. What is that like? We're in a safe place. We're not in a sanctuary state. Well, the insurance companies are saying otherwise. I haven't seen my car insurance premium yet, right. So it's all crushing. And where do people say? I mean, I think Donald Trump is a very good idea with the one big beautiful bill, but will people look at it and say, yeah, I can get 23% off my taxes, and oh yeah, I can get 100% write off on a building in 1 year? Or it's like, man, I've just had it, with all the expenses I've had to pay. And when you start reducing that productive capacity across the board, you destroy people's willingness to work. I don't know where we go, because it's, politics has proven time and time again, it's just not the solution. And, we need vision, we need policy, we need people to actually look at what'll work, regardless of whether you like if the person doing it or not. And that's the part that really troubles and concerns me.
Tony D'Angelo is his name. Follow him on the X, Tony D'Angelo 7. And of course, Tony, on Thursdays, you unleash your own video. What can we expect this Thursday?
Yeah, 30 with Tony. This is going to be fun. It's every Thursday, 3 p.m. on YouTube and Twitter. If you want to see it, you could just type in 30 with Tony, go to the most in Google, go to the most recent show. And what we're going to look at is, I love these elephant in the living room stories. The real reason is racism. How much of our society has been ruined by politicians telling us that we're these horrible racists, and how dare we do these things, and the very people whom they say they're championing, the multi-unit housing bill is a perfect example, are the people whom they are ruining. Bob Swick had a great article this past Saturday about the fact that we used to have in Connecticut, Elci, a very solid and strong black middle class. And these were people that were machinists, and a lot of them worked in the gun industry. They had wonderful homes. I used to go to church with these people. I wish I could have a home or a car like they did. They worked like hell. And what they were doing was, they came from the South, and they said, we don't want to be oppressed. We just want to be able to work. Hey, I'm going to make more money than the white guy if I work harder, and my car will be better. But it's like, well, we cannot have that anymore, because firearms are illegal. Firearms are evil. A gun never walked up and shot anybody, at least to my knowledge. When that happens, I'm out of here. But it's just the, how could I put it? It's this whole thing. And like, you slap yourself in the head and say, hey, wait a minute. It's like, what has this system done that's been so wonderful, other than, like, ever since Lowell Weicker and the income tax in Connecticut 35 years ago, we have been in a downward spiral ever since. Spend. And, it's, there's no idea as to how we're going to get any sort of production back, because people who are now out there in the world now don't know how to do it, because they've been living this whole cycle where there's been no sense of industry or vision or drive or whatsoever. Here we are, my friend.
Great stuff as always, Tony. Follow him, everyone. Tony D'Angelo 7 on the X. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, pal. Thanks, everybody.
You got it, man. We'll come right back. Stick around, everybody. Flax joins us next. Hang on.